Mhuri yeZimbabwe kusangana kwatiri kuita zvakare pano paZim News update apo patinoda kupa first hand update anonga ari kuitika munyika yedu yeZimbabwe. So kana uri mutsva kusabve pano usina kusubscribe, kulike nekushare. So tine mashoko etiri kutambira ari kubva kuCentral Intelligence Organization CIO vari kutaura iwo kutoti no, imimi President Emmerson Mnangagwa ndimi muri kupa permission Temba Mliswa yekuti anga achiataka Vice President VP Chiwenga. Sezvo tiri kuona kuti vamwe mabig wigs mubato reZANU-PF havasi kufara nezviri kuitika izvozvo mhuri yeZimbabwe, sezvo tiri kuona kuti Temba Mliswa hakusi kuda kwake, ari kutumwa nezvigananda because atori pabasa ari kubhadhawa nezvigananda kuti anga achiataka. Even kana munhu wese ari kuseri kwaVice President VP Chiwenga ari kuatakwa naTemba Mliswa, because tiri kuona kuti now vari kunetsana naJoji Charamba zvakasimba chaizvo, because tiri kuona kuti Joji Charamba anova ari spokesperson muhofisi yaPresident Emmerson Mnangagwa, because kukunzi kuri kubuda Temba Mliswa ataura kuCIO kwacho ikoko kuri kubuda mashoko ari kutaurwa kunzi ngavamire zvinhu zvavari kuita izvozvo, because Temba Mliswa atoti kuCIO kuri kutoitwa makuhwa mamweni asina kutombomira zvakanaka. So tira kuti tinzwe vakomana vetinawo pano vachange vachipatsanura nhauwa iyi, monyasa kunzwa kuti zviri kunyatsa kufamba sei, zotudzo zveunenge uchifunga mucomment section. But tongoti kana uri mutsva usabve pano usina kusubscribe, kulike nekushare, ndikuti tirambe tichiuya nemamwe maupdates ari kuitika muno munyika yeZimbabwe, especially nhauwa dzezvematongerwo enyika ndedzetinga tichianalyze pano paZim News update. Ndokutenda nekutera kwamama vakaita
for tactic for them, so you will see them very reluctant to stop that from happening and enjoy the benefits as a political survival tactic. But it's so sad because, as you said before, our institutions that we rely on, are being eroded. It's something that needs to be fixed. But I think it goes back to the structure of government itself. This office of a president, the president appoints how many people in government? We are talking of 200 people as when you form a new government. So these are the issues that we should talk about. These are issues that we must deal with. We need to look at our constitution. I think this CAB 3 is a reminder that we need to do a major service on our constitution, looking at reducing the powers of the president. I think the office itself is a monster that was created during the colonial period. And we as young people have got a duty now to say, come on, let's look at the governance system of our country. This is 2026. Can we continue to have one man on top of us or being the leader of the nation? Or we look at other alternative forms of governance systems that can work better than having a president who's going to have criminals around him, who's going to have Rigananda around him. Maybe the next one might have what? I don't know, top soup around him, which is going to continue us having the problems. So I think the bigger picture is that the governance system itself is not the best for us. We need to reconsider that. But also, if you remember, one of the issues which pains me the most, GNU talked about reforming the security sector. If you think of FAS, it was a central issue during the just ended 2023 elections. So it's around the security sector of our country. We need to make sure that we reform that. The late Morgan Tsvangirai is used to talk about transforming Joint Operations Command into a national prosecuting authority. One of the major fundamental reforms that is yet to happen in our country, so that we are able to move in terms of stopping corruption and all other things. We really need to look at that, how the formation of JOC and reforming it into a national prosecution authority. We have seen the relationship between the security sector and the ruling party. There's a thin line now, or no line, between the state and the party, the ruling party. So I think it's central also to look at that in order to avoid this kind of parallel power structures or parallel governments. But in terms of ZANU-PF as a party, we have seen this before. We have seen G40, we have seen Lacoste, we have seen a lot. And some of these individuals like the former MP Temba Mliswa, I think it's because of factionalism and people would want to enjoy that. I don't know if it helps the military intelligence or the central intelligence organization, but I wouldn't think so. It's just factionalism per se. But in my view, I think we really need to relook at the governance system in 2026. Mofu and Ango Jeds, this president's office is too influential. For the Zimbabwean office, presidential office is too influential, too many powers. We need to, and the president should not appoint anyone. We should select all these government officials through parliament, and our president should be accountable in parliament as well. So these are some of the reforms that we need to talk about so that we avoid Jigananda from going around him. But in a bigger picture going forward, having one man as the president is not a good governance system. Thank you so much. That's my contribution.
Right. Thank you very much, Mkoma. I do appreciate you right there. Let us move on quickly. Kuna Special 7. Special 7, how you doing?
I'm very well, Uncle. How are you?
No, I'm good.
Good. Uncle Titus, Move Titus, how are
Good
you?
evening, Special 7. Hope you're well.
I'm doing great. Thank you. Uncle Jed, let me start by giving you 2 statements or 3 statements from Temba Mliswa.
Right.
The CIO has deteriorated as an organization. Real group Remakuwa. Another statement from Temba Mliswa. I'm not a spy.
Right.
Now, I've got a soft spot for Temba, and I'll tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
I was born and bred in Kambuzuma,
Mm-hmm.
and Temba stood with my people or our people when Billy Rottenberg wanted to take, there's a piece of land that in Kambuzuma is called Joshua Extension. So it's like an extension between Kambuzuma and Marimba.
Right.
Where they built the spa for, purportedly for Amai. They built a beautiful spa just where you have Aspindale Park.
Uh-huh.
So Temba stood the ground and he said, Billy, you don't own this land. If you've got the title deeds, let's meet in court. And eventually the cooperative that is called Joshua and Kabuko Cooperative then went on to build their properties. So people are there. So I have a soft spot for Temba, for helping. I've got friends and family who live in Joshua. So that's as far as it goes with Temba. Now, it's important for us to examine these things, sometimes without being overly emotional. I do appreciate we are human beings and we are creatures of emotions. Moftitus, you spoke about Temba being allowed to attack the Vice President Chiwenga. But Vice President Chiwenga has got himself into a bit of a pickle by his own making. You cannot take 6 cars, Rolls-Royce Maybach, from me and 50,000 or whatever amount that's publicly declared. And the following day, you start to tell people that I'm a bad person. That's what we call a hypocrite. You can't do that. If you stand on the basis of being straight and being proper, do not associate with dodgy characters. Now, it's funny that ZANU-PF, we need to study it for a point of history and understand that there's always infighting within ZANU-PF. The only time that they will come together and fight together is when there's a strong opposition and they feel an existential threat coming their way. You will see them all grouping together. They will speak with one voice, they'll speak the same language and go back to their fights once they have taken care of the business of the day. A lot of people do dismiss Temba Mliswa, and I think they do so, at their own peril, because Temba Mliswa whether we like it or not, politically is a stronger person than Charamba because he has stood in the trenches. He has risen to the top of ZANU-PF as chairperson of March whatever and MP for Hurungwe, coming then to stand as an independent. Vese vanamutsango vakarohwa naTemba. So people, he has got traits that people don't like. He's a loud mouth. Is he a spy? Intelligence is collected from people. It doesn't exist in a vacuum. Temba is well connected and he knows a lot of people and he knows a lot of things. So he might be somebody who is valuable to somebody. The day that somebody beats Temba, mukarova chipopi chemunhu, munoziya muridzi wembwa yacho kuti imbwa iyi ndeani and mairoverei imbwa iyoyi, you will know. George Charamba has served his purpose. You know, you can't you can't be a civil servant for 46 years and still want to be that close to power and cause confusion. He has conflated his roles. He doesn't know when he's a civil servant, when he's a presidential spokesperson, or when he's calling everyone on X Edununu. That's his own making. So when Temba says, let's go for a pig fight, and to show like what the previous speaker said, the weakness of our institutions. We've always had very, very weak institutions. But I think ultimately, number one, the president enjoys this sort of chaos. Why? Because it deflects all the other shenanigans that they're getting up to. As George Charamba and Temba Mliswa are fighting, you will hear next week that Fidelity has issued a license to XYZ. In the meantime, what have we been concentrating on? On an X fight between Charamba and Mliswa. So it's about time we then, as a people, need to galvanize our efforts and fight towards a common goal. Because all these side shows, it's benefiting these Ugandandas and their project Cab 3. However, having said all that, when I listen to Professor Maduku, I'm always strengthened by what he says. He says a lot of the arguments that have been touted around Cab 3 will not stand the test of time in a court of law. Luckily, we have challenges that are coming up. I'm not a lawyer, so I leave that to the best at what they do. But Professor Maduku has simply said, even on a captured bench, if we want to assume that there is a threshold that they look at and say, this the bench is captured, we will see that matter being dealt with by a competent bench and it will be dismissed. That's according to Professor Maduk. So I think that encourages us. But more importantly, we also then need to do very simple but courageous things like what Moftitus was calling for. If in London there's a demonstration, even if you don't want to be seen or you have that fear to show your face, I'm sure there are ways where you can cover yourself and still be able to attend and register your presence, because talking from the comfort of our own sofas, from our own beds, from our own cars is surely not going to carry the weight of the day. We do need to be proactive and do something about it that will show and prove that, we mean business. We do not like what's going on, and we can only do so by being out in the trenches, because nothing comes easy, especially when you have people who are as powerful as Zigananda are. Because ultimately, let's be honest, money is money makes everything move, whether we like it or not. We all need money. Even when we want to stand and say we are against cab 3, we need money. Somebody might want to come to the demonstration, but they have no means of coming. Money comes in. That's how we can, there's comfort in numbers. And yeah, I think it's a good challenge for us to be able to gather when that demonstrations are going on. Anyway, I will yield the mic for now.
Right. No, no, Special Seven. Thank you for that. Actually, thank you for that presentation. What I just want a quick feedback to you. I think you probably might be biased as you. I think you confessed to Temba Mliswa. I think he's done good in your constituency before, and I think from what you talked about Billy Rottenbeck, I think he did a good thing. So yes, I think you did a good thing then, but obviously, I think you also need to look. Say if you were on the other side now, what I was saying in terms of the information that he reveals, the challenges that he makes unabated and unchallenged. I just feel good. Yes, you wakota kuti hanzati CIO is now, what is it, Emakua or whatever it is happening. Yeah,
Yeah,
Temba will have that inside information. Which, I mean, how he gets it, how it is, he is inside, right? Arimom kati momo. But then also, I think of it, if you're on the other side, Kuti, some of the information then that he gets out in the public and some of the challenges that he gives, for example, I was saying, I'm not even a fan of, say, VP Chiwenga, but if he is gonna challenge the vice president of the country openly, and even if he goes, I think Mataura Nyaema Rolls Royce, I think Inyae wedding. I don't know if that is confirmed or could Shagato itikere, but I think I've heard that story of my 6 Maybachs, 100,000 cash or something, 50,000 cash. Yeah, you might not have confirmed it. Maybe it happened. Pamwe zvakaitika akatopiwawo nechigananda, all those things. But my point in mentioning that was to say the position that VP Chiwenga holds. These things, I don't think they should be thrown willy nilly in the public, unless yatongonya yeganyabvu kuti, you know what, you win this, you lose this. But I just feel with the position. I'm not talking of an individual. I'm talking of his position that he holds, just like the president. We are always saying, kuti, president, yeah, as much as he is his own person, people like Anna Wikino should not be just, accessing him willy nilly. He's then the Arpalas, red carpet, Argunz, my son, I'll see you in Geneva, that kind of thing, whereby his office needs to be respected. So that's where I was talking about to say, Kuti. But Temba, should he not be respecting more the office of the vice president in terms of revealing whatever he knows, whatever she knows through CIO, because it's clear he knows a lot of information. So I